Hi guys, Black Dragon here. Thank you so much for joining me for another movie review. My family and I recently saw The Accountant, and my god, what a great movie. And, just so much to talk about. So, I'm going to break it down into my top 5 dislikes and my top 5 likes. The first thing that I didn't like about this movie, this isn't your typical, action movie kind of deal. It's more of a drama with action in it. So, I feel like it wasn't marketed well so that it would give off that vibe. So this isn't your typical action movie. There are a lot of details that you really have to pay attention to, and I got that as we were going further and further into the movie. But there are some details that if you blink, you'll miss it. And so I feel as though there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that you have to pay attention to, and one monologue in particular was not delivered well and was not constructed well. It was a little confusing. So it took me a little bit to get it, and then some of my family members had to explain it to me, and even they didn't have it right. So I had to look it up online, and I'm like, oh, that's what he was talking about? Anyway, so that's my first dislike. And the second thing I didn't like about this movie is the fact that for a movie that does such a great job with setup and exploring all these different topics and, getting into character development and doing it actually rather well, it relies on one cliche in particular that my wife and I both kind of had an issue with. In the interest of wanting you guys to see it, I won't reveal too much about the movie, but let's just say there's a cliche in it that it's in character. So it's not like it's off base for this character to do this, but it's a cliche nonetheless. So I had to bring it up, and if you guys spot it, let me know in the comments below. The fourth thing I didn't really like about this movie isn't within the movie itself, it's more with critics and things like that. I think it's more with the reviews that I've been reading since I saw the movie, because people are not giving it a fair shake, and I think it has to do with something that I'm going to mention in a little bit about the fifth dislike that I had about this movie. But yeah, it's not getting the recognition that it deserves. It's a great outing for Ben Affleck. All the players give a top-notch performance in this movie. The director, who I gotta give props to, I've never seen any of his other movies, but he does a great job, piecing this story together, and there were some twists and turns that I did not see coming. So with that, I feel as though go see this movie. You need to see this movie, and that's the fourth thing I didn't like about this movie, was that it's not getting the recognition or respect that it deserves. And the last thing that I didn't like about this movie is that the marketing campaign was terrible. It marketed it as a dark action movie, and it's really not. It's a drama with action elements in it. So when we get to those action moments, the drama's already been set up so that you kind of have that background for it, and you can sink right back into the drama after the action ends. So with that, just the marketing campaign did not do this movie justice, and I don't even think Warner Brothers had faith in their own movie, because the marketing campaign was crap. They're not stepping up to defend the movie in reviews. With this movie, they weren't sure. That's what it seems like. It seems like they weren't sure what they were going to do in terms of box office numbers. So yeah, I mean, it's still in theaters, so go see it if you can. Even if it goes out, rent it multiple times, because ultimately I think it deserves at least that. So definitely check out this movie. But yeah, the marketing campaign sucked. And now we're going to move on to the 5 likes. And the first like that I had with this movie is Ben Affleck's portrayal of a person suffering from autism and being a believable accountant. Like, the stuff that he says about accounting, I believed in. I don't know anything about accounting, but he sold it. And just from a person suffering from autism, his character definitely seems to hit the mark, and seems to do it in a way that's not too Hollywood. When you see mental illness portrayed on screen, it's usually played up to 11. It's usually played up to an extreme to get a reaction out of the audience, from my experience anyway. But when you look at Ben Affleck, it's not necessarily he's not hamming it up. He's not playing it up for some kind of shock value or like a reaction value. He really does a great job, as do the other actors in this movie. The second thing that I did like about this movie was the fact that Anna Kendrick and Ben Affleck have great chemistry, and I don't know what it is. I think it's because they both kind of relate to each other and everything like that, and you could have gotten like a really super hot actress to play Anna Kendrick's part, and Anna Kendrick is pretty attractive. You know, I'm not blind, but it really she looks like she could be an accountant. And from what I understand, her mom's actually an accountant too, so she has some experience with that. So I think that ultimately their chemistry together was really nice. It was really sweet, and I do think that you know, it was a great pairing. The third thing that I liked about this movie were the action scenes. They were powerful, they were brutal, and they were amazing. I loved them. Like John Wick, I think that these action scenes are way up there, are way above board. In some movies where I'm just like, it's action that I've seen before, you know, in these other movies, and in this movie too, it's action that I've seen before, but it's more hard-hitting, it's more brutal, like you feel the punches, you hear the bullets impacting, it's great. Whoever did like the sound design, whoever did like the fight choreography, I love those guys. Thank you for bringing me this experience. The next thing I liked about this movie was just the very smart but simple storytelling. I'm pretty sure that, you know, after you recut the movie, you can do like a chronological thing and watch the movie in order, but that wouldn't be as interesting, it wouldn't be as compelling, it wouldn't be as fun. You know, it's not, the movie itself is a puzzle, and this main character, Ben Affleck's character, likes puzzles. He likes deciphering puzzles. He likes putting puzzles together. And like that, this movie is a puzzle in itself where you, the audience, are trying to put the pieces together and, you know, make sense of everything that you're seeing. And the last thing I liked about this movie is the fact that it makes me want to learn more about disabilities. And, you know, the movie explains it very well. The movie explains, you know, different types of things very well. The child actors portraying these characters that have these mental disabilities did a great job, and it made me uncomfortable, but in a way to where I wanted to know more about it and not be as in the dark as I know I am. So with that, I gotta give the movie props for that in terms of making me want to learn more about it. Because ultimately, you know, the movie does make a point to say that just because you have a mental illness doesn't mean that you can't function. It doesn't mean that you can't live a life. You can't have a life. And so I really like that. I think that was a message that shined through, and I think that it was a very interesting way to look at it. So with that, yeah, I'm definitely going to take it upon myself to learn a little bit more. And because I have members of my family that work in psychology and sociology and in social work, I'm going to be talking to them a little bit more. But the point is, man, this movie does a great job in impressing me in terms of, like, you know, showing me these things and not in terms of showing me these things in a way that doesn't make it seem hammy or too Hollywood. So overall, guys, I gotta say, go see The Accountant. It's still in theaters, so if you can see it at a theater near you, I would definitely suggest it. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to, but this was a really bare bones review because there's so much meat to this movie, and if I tell you too much, that would be going into spoilers, and I don't want to do that because I want you to see this movie. I want you to pay the money, and I want you to go sit in the seat in the theater and watch this movie from beginning to end, because it's just that good. It's one of the best movies this year. I loved the small bits of comedy. I love the story that they tell. I love the characters. I love the actors' portrayal of these characters, and just all around, man, it's a great movie. And you know what? I'm looking forward to a sequel if they do it. Now, I understand that they don't. It leaves room open for a sequel at the end, but it's like, it's not intentionally setting one up. So if they do get greenlit for a sequel, I wouldn't be surprised, because this movie does a great job. Please go see this movie. And with that, guys, thank you so much for joining me for another review. Again, I'm sorry that this is so bare bones, but I don't want to spoil it for you. So with that, I will leave you with this. Be sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Visit our main site, enthusiacs.com, for more. And as always, I'm the Black Dragon, and I'll see you later.